In a bustling metropolis where diversity was celebrated, a silent, invisible war was being waged. Citizens of all races, religions, and backgrounds lived side by side, working together and forming bonds that transcended superficial differences. However, beneath the surface of this apparent harmony, a different narrative was being spun by those in power. The government, ever cunning and perceptive, realized long ago that unity among the populace posed a significant threat to their control. A united people could demand change, hold leaders accountable, and potentially disrupt the status quo. To maintain their grip on power, the government needed a distraction, a way to keep the people divided and focused on each other rather than the true source of their discontent. It began subtly, with whispers and rumors spreading through the media. Stories highlighting the differences between blacks and whites, Christians and Muslims, and other groups were given prominence. These narratives were carefully crafted to instill fear, suspicion, and anger. Social media algorithms were manipulated to amplify divisive content, ensuring that people saw the worst of each other and the best of themselves. In schools, curricula were subtly altered to emphasize historical grievances rather than shared achievements. In workplaces, diversity initiatives were framed not as ways to bring people together, but as zero-sum games where one group's gain was another's loss. The seeds of division were sown deep, and they began to bear fruit. Neighborhoods that once thrived on multicultural interactions started to fracture. People retreated into their own communities, suspicious of those who were different. Protests and counter-protests became more frequent, each side convinced that the other was the enemy. Violence occasionally erupted, and the government responded with a heavy hand, further justifying their narrative of chaos and the need for control. But amidst the chaos, a few astute individuals began to see the pattern. They noticed how the government's actions and policies consistently benefited from the divisions. They saw how crises were often used as opportunities to tighten control, reduce freedoms, and stifle dissent. They realized that the true enemy was not their neighbor, but the orchestrators of this grand deception. These individuals started to speak out, using whatever platforms they had to spread the message. They organized secret meetings, published anonymous articles, and used encrypted communication to evade surveillance. Their message was simple yet profound. It's not blacks versus whites, Christians versus Muslims, or any other group against another. It's all of us against the manipulative tactics of the government. Slowly but surely, the message began to resonate. People started to question the narratives they had been fed. They reached out to those they had once viewed with suspicion and found common ground. Communities began to rebuild, this time with a deeper understanding of the importance of unity and the insidiousness of division. The government, realizing that its old tactics were losing effectiveness, tried to clamp down harder, but the momentum had shifted. The people, now aware of the manipulation, were no longer so easily divided. Protests became more organized and focused on demanding transparency, accountability, and justice from those in power. In the end, it was not a single dramatic event, but the slow, steady awakening of the populace that turned the tide. The government, faced with a united front, was forced to concede to the demands for reform. It was a long and difficult journey, but the people had learned a valuable lesson. Their strength lay not in their divisions, but in their unity against those who sought to control them. And so, the metropolis that once teetered on the brink of self-destruction found a new equilibrium. The people, vigilant and informed, remained ever watchful, ensuring that they would never again be so easily manipulated. They had learned to see beyond the superficial differences and recognize the true adversary, standing together to build a future based on mutual respect, understanding, and shared purpose.